Hi, I'm Barefoot on the Gaia Path, and I want to take you through just a quick journey through some self-care healing. I have been a certified homeopath and flower essence practitioner for more than 20 years. In the early 2000s, I had my own business of holistic healthcare consulting for about 10 years, a little under 10 years. Most of my clients were animals because that has been my passion for decades. And it's the reason I got into holistic healthcare to begin with. So what I wanted to do was just share with you a little bit of my favorite books as entry level. I have several hundred books on holistic healthcare. I took a lot of courses in holistic healthcare. I've got a diploma from the British Institute of Homeopathy. And my passion has always been caring for animals. So, as per usual, this is not a professional video. Please take it with a grain of salt. I apologize for the amateur nature of it. But I wanted to at least give those interested a little bit of background. So the first books I just want to look at are generic. These books really help you understand energy medicine. They are classics. This is Molecules of Emotion by Candace Pert, The Science Behind Mind-Body Medicine. And it is an amazing book. So is Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. Again, another classic. And Vibrational Medicine by Richard Gerber. These are well-loved books. I have used them continuously. When I was living in Maine in the early 2000s, I also taught classes on holistic healthcare. And I always started with these volumes because before you decide whether you are interested or not in energy medicines, I think it's just great to have a good grounding in where these are coming from, why we suggest them as practitioners, why we are so passionate about holistic healing. So those three books should get you started. Now, my first entry into energy medicine was using flower essences because I was doing a lot of rescue work with cats and dogs, but mostly cats. And I was taking in a lot of cats who had severe upper respiratory infections that veterinarians could do nothing for. That set me on my path primarily. And the beautiful thing about flower essences is there are zero side effects. There is nothing that is going to hurt your cat. Some people prefer essential oils. I think we humans, we love the aromas, and those are fantastic, but most of the time for cats and dogs, that is not the optimum choice because cats and dogs are highly sensitive to smells. As most of you know, they are way more sensitive than humans are. So what may smell pleasing to us may not be smelling pleasing to them. And for cats, essential oils can even be quite dangerous. Some essential oils. So I got into flower essences, even though the Bach essences have been around since the 50s. I actually was drawn to the bush flower essences from Australia. I have studied extensively all of my certifications. I have multiple certifications with Ian White's programs, and he is the developer of the bush flower essences and healing. But you do you. There are so many flower essences available now. Again, they are not essential oils. They are flower essences. There is a big difference. But just as an overview, these are the ones I got into. The beautiful thing about his two books, he stopped at 64 flowers. I think it was 64, may have been 68. This is his second book, and he has an extensive repertory that guides you to the multiple essences that may be appropriate. He was one of the first who really began expanding the repertory for flower essences in his book. Part of that is because he comes from a long line of herbalists and homeopaths. Again, that may be why I was drawn to him, is because he was in homeopathy initially, and also Bach, the developer of those original flower essences, also started as a homeopath. So that's a little bit of the background. This is the easiest, simplest, safest way to get started with energy medicines. I absolutely recommend them for everybody. Animals, people, huge, huge, huge support. I know, I'm not talking very well, but I'm going to put this through anyway, and I don't edit. So there you go. Another one that everybody's probably familiar with is I was certified in Reiki, primarily because you don't need any actual substances. You don't need bottles. You don't need mixes. You don't need pills. It's simply channeling the energies. Most people are familiar with Reiki, and I highly recommend that as a beginning. I use Reiki a lot as a complement to all of the other modalities that I use because it's so easy. After being comfortable with the flower essences, I absolutely got into homeopathy. I went to the British Institute of Homeopathy, which was an online course. It was quite extensive. I took the program specifically for veterinary homeopathy, so that's what my diploma is in. But the beautiful thing about homeopathy is it's not actually limited to any one species. The remedies are holistic remedies, and they are based upon the symptoms. A rash, what it looks like, if you've got a skin abrasion, if you've got injuries, the remedy doesn't matter whether it doesn't care whether you're a cat or a dog or a human. The remedy is going to focus on the problem. Beautiful thing about homeopathy is it's holistic. Mind, body, spirit are all incorporated in the best optimum remedy, especially when it goes beyond an acute problem and into a chronic problem. This is the Organon. This is the 6th edition by the creator and developer of homeopathy, Samuel Hahnemann, and it is the Bible, if you will, of homeopathy. A lot of practitioners still stick with, for a long time, the 4th edition was the only thing we knew. And so a lot of practitioners still use the 4th edition. The biggest difference is the 4th edition focused on the little pills that you buy in the little tubes at health food stores. The 6th edition took it to the next level into making liquid doses for gentler approach to continued healing. So that is what I use almost exclusively, is liquid dosing. This is a whole science in itself, but the beautiful thing is that you can begin with acute care, and 2 of my favorite books for acute care in the home are The Complete Homeopathy Handbook by Miranda Castro and Homeopathic Remedies by Asa Hershoff. Both of these are fabulous. They offer a lot of information on homeopathy in general, but then they also provide great repertories and materia medica for understanding the remedies and how to give them, which ones might be most appropriate. Hershoff's is particularly great for the simple reason that he provides a very clear outline and comparison. And then at the back, he has more information on the remedies themselves. If you get into homeopathy, as I did, you will also want to pick up an actual materia medica, which is hundreds and hundreds of medicines, and a repertory which shows you how to break it down. All of this has been done without testing on animals. There is nothing dangerous about homeopathy. I won't even get into the ridiculous claims of placebo. That's a topic for another time. I have been using homeopathy for animals. Textbook of Veterinary Homeopathy is one of my favorites. I have been using homeopathy for animals for decades, as have many people ever since, well, for 200 years. I'm not sure why people think it would be placebo if it works so beautifully with animals. Maybe it does. Maybe it's the practitioner's energy field that helps it along. But for whatever reason, if you give the wrong remedy, nothing happens. You give the right remedy, you see amazing results. That to me doesn't sound like placebo. So that's how I got into it. The bridge between substantive remedies and homeopathy, which is pure energy, are cell salts. You'll also hear them referred to as tissue salts. This is one of my favorite books for the cell salts. They're also the easiest, safest way to get into homeopathy is by using the 12 cell salts. This is my favorite book. She again has a beautiful repertory laid out so simply, and anybody starting out can start with this. If you are a woman going through menopause, homeopathy can't be beat. I am in my mid-60s, spent 15 years, going through the whole menopause thing. Sometimes you hit the right remedy, sometimes you don't. I'm not going to lie. This is not conventional medicine where you take one pill and it solves everything. Although a lot of times that one pill doesn't, and that one pill has a lot of side effects. Again, homeopathy, no side effects. Completely safe. So this is one of my favorites for starting, going through remedies that can help women going through menopause. Love this book. Absolutely fabulous. I do want to talk about a little bit. Hahnemann focused on the 4 temperaments, the Hippocratic 4 temperaments, because he developed this system in the 1800s or 18th century into the early 19th century, and he turned to Hippocrates and Paracelsus. The reason he turned to homeopathy he was developing it was because he didn't like what conventional medicine of his time, all of the side effects and the dangers. So he spent his life developing this. This is a really good book to understand the 4 temperaments. You don't need to know the 4 temperaments in order to do homeopathy well. I just really like the book. A recent book to come out, which some homeopaths didn't really care for, is Gloria St. John's perspective on homeopathy as shamanism. Part of the reason for that is because many conventional homeopaths are also doctors, and they are trying so hard to prove how homeopathy works. Personally, I don't care how it works. It works. So this was just a really interesting book. If you are interested in that aspect, then you will find out a lot of the commonalities. Then we have one of my also favorite books on if you decide to go a little further into homeopathy. When I read this book, I was amazed. I just thought he did such a beautiful job of describing what happens and why with homeopathy. Again, not how the remedies work physically, but the approach that we take in order to try and find the right remedy. It's just beautiful. The last thing I want to point out is I also trained as an Ayurvedic lifestyle consultant. In 2010, I became certified, and I thought this was going to be a more physical approach to helping people, because up until then I had been mostly working with animals with homeopathy and flower essences as a holistic system of medicine. But I was branching out into helping people, and I really was called to Ayurveda. I went to the Kripalu School of Ayurveda, which was a year-long intensive where you attended in person as well as studying at home. And what I loved is one of the books that we were required to read and turn in a paper on before we even started the course was an introduction to Indian philosophy. Really beautiful, beautiful philosophies on life. I was also taking a course in Ayurveda from Dr. David Frawley. He's a brilliant man. I love him so much. I was taking that certification course at the same time that I was attending the Kripalu School of Ayurveda that used Vasant Lad's textbooks for their course. Again, Vasant Lad is just brilliant at explaining all the complexities of Ayurveda. This is one of my favorite images, the journey of consciousness into matter. The entire system, it has been around anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 years, depending on who you talk to. It is a deep dive into holistic healing. Even if you never study or apply Ayurveda, which I didn't as a physical healthcare system as far as a consultant for other people, but this was an enormously spiritual journey for me. So you can go either way, or you can embrace both, or you can embrace them all. I love energy medicine. That's my biggest passion. So the Ayurveda really spoke to me for mind and spirit, but on a physical level, because I've had so many years, 2 decades of healing animals with homeopathy. That's my passionate path. So I just really wanted to share that in case anybody was considering getting into this. Learn about vibrational medicine, about energy remedies, and you will not regret it. I guarantee you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I know this wasn't a great video, but all of a sudden today, I felt compelled to at least bring these books to somebody's attention. Somebody out there was waiting to hear about this. So that's where I did this little video. I want to send you blessings and healing, love and peace. May we all live in harmony together. So mote it be.